Hello, my fellow readers. This is Dark Symphony 777 with a new, different sort of video. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on that bell for notifications, and also leave a comment on your thoughts of the video. Don't worry, I'm gonna do fanfiction soon and talk about what's happening soon once that whole thing settles. But yeah, I am doing a Yu-Gi-Oh! Based video with my good friend from Germany. Not ranked 10 Yu-Gi-Oh! Let's say hello, Meep.
Meep?
Yeah, Meep. Meep, Meep. I got a little Looney Tunes. So, yeah. So, we're doing a tier list rating of all the Link monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! But not really, because, yeah, this whole thing, despite having a lot of monsters, first off, we're only doing 10 for this one video, and two, it doesn't have all the Link monsters. It's missing 2 monsters. As of when this tier list was made. So we're gonna say what's a good Link monster, which is like any utility monster, like any, like the summoning condition equaling the cost, its arrows, its like what's it do, how does it synergize with other decks. There's various other reasons. We'll go more about it in depth. But we have 10 monsters, and I just want to get started. So, do you want to go first, or should I?
How about you go first?
You go first? So okay, so here's mine. The first one I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the one which is based off my favorite archetype, Bloom Harmonist, the Melodious Composer. And oh boy, I know, but this one just hurts. It hurts. It's
either C or D tier.
Hold on, let me just say what it does. It's a light Link to fairy monster, 1,000 attack points. Its arrows are southwest and southeast. I do some kind of weird thing when I talk about Link arrows. I always refer to it as like a compass point. And its effect is, if this card is Link summoned, you can discard 1 card, special summon 2 Melodious monsters with different levels from your deck in defense position to your zones this card points to. You cannot special summon monsters the turn you activate this effect except Melodious monsters. You can only use this effect of Bloom Harmonist, the Melodious Composer, once per turn. If a Melodious monster this card points to attacks, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step. I will say, I actually have to agree with you. I'm going to put it on C. Because...
Okay.
Let's start...
The ability?
The ability to special summon 2 monsters from the deck is really powerful. Like, do you know how many cards get banned because it summons 1 card from the deck?
Pretty much every monster that special summons from the deck gets banned. Like, for example, MX Saber, Invoker, Wind Up, Thing.
I think it was Wind Up Magician.
Yeah, it was one of the. I think it was one of the Xyz monsters that summons from the deck.
Oh, that's Zen, the water one. Zemanis, yeah.
Yeah.
And this one special summons too. However, once you actually, on a surface level, this seems really busted, but once you actually start playing Melodious, because there's 2 different ways of playing Melodious. There is offensive Melodious, and then there's defensive Melodious. This thing is mostly better in defensive Melodious, except for the fact this thing's attack points is like 1,000. So, why?
Just run it over.
Yeah, just run it over. Like, I've lost more duels playing like defensive Melodious when my opponent just like, you know what, I'm just gonna attack the Link monster. You're just gonna lose all your life points anyway.
I mean, there are arguments to be made with things like Sanctuary in the Sky or Spirit Barrier to protect you from taking battle damage.
Spirit Barrier isn't searchable, and Sanctuary in the Sky is like a sitting duck.
Yeah, just waiting to get popped.
Why didn't it get popped? Like the moment
to invest actual resources.
You have to invest actual resources into it. So the thing about Melodious, the Melodious playstyle is if you is they rely on two specific monsters, Arya and LG. And Arya, if she special summon, prevents Melodious monsters from being targeted and cannot be destroyed by battle. And an LG, if she prevents special summon Melodious monsters from being destroyed by card effects. And so what this Link monster was supposed to do was basically turbo out the lock. The problem is in offensive Melodious builds, this card, first off, this card barely works in more offensive Melodious builds because it locks you into Melodious. Especially, and I tested this last night. I did like a test hand on EDO Pro. I used that one that special summons Fairy, the special summon Goddess of Sweet Revenge. The Link summon into this, it wouldn't let me use the effect. So despite the fact its Link materials are 2 fairies, if you don't use, you can't special summon any other fairies. Otherwise, this effect won't work. That makes that is so counterproductive. It's like
this turn instead of for the rest of the turn effect.
No, it's like no. If you summon any fairy monster, if you special summon any fairy monster, it won't work.
Yeah, because it says you cannot special summon monsters other than Melodious monsters the turn you activate.
Yes, but
after you resolve this effect.
Yeah.
That's how you make this usable. You change the effect from you cannot use you can only use Melodious monsters the turn you activate this effect. After this effect resolves, you can only summon Melodious monsters for the rest of the turn.
So the main issue I've personally had with Konami when it came to Melodious was they overbalance it. Like, they have really good cards. The problem is they balance them too much to the point they forcibly locked them into their own archetype. Like, you can't really have Melodious really synergize with anything outside of maybe Athena, because she doesn't target. And guess what? If Arya's on the field, you can't target him your own effects. Like, not to mention, you have to the moment you summon her, you have to discard a card. Melodious are very bad at card economy. Like, they need every card to even make even the smallest amount of plays, unless you have a really good hand or you go in for a very hyper offensive build where you're basically relying on like Shiberta and Bloom Prima to do all the heavy lifting instead of Bloom Diva, which is their boss monster. And then you have the bad thing of it has to be 2 monsters with different levels in a deck where like half of their main deck is level 4. And most of the time you're either going for Arya or you're going for Soprano. The rest of them don't even matter. Maybe Tantam, maybe. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to go for Soprano to fetch something from whatever you discarded or one of the materials from the graveyard to reuse again. Or you're doing Arya to set up the lock, because after that, you're pretty much either going to go for Allergy, Shapina, or you're going for Mansarda. Because you're not going for Score, because you'd rather have Score in your hand. Like, this card is so counterproductive to what it's trying to actually do, it's sad. Like, the only reason I'm not putting it in D because Melodious still... Because Melodious,
special summons 2 monsters from the deck.
It still special summons 2 monsters from the deck, and 9 times out of 10, if you get Arya on the field, like, your opponent can't really do much of anything, because Arya is like a rare example of like reverse power creep when like all the boss monsters target and stuff like that, and since you can't, so well, good luck getting over Arya. But yeah, like, she works in the defensive build. She barely works in the offensive builds because the offensive builds rely more on getting like a couple, either spamming Shiberta on and off the field to basically reuse her effects several times and basically waste your opponent's resources, or Bloom Prima if you're going to go for like big numbers.
Okay, so
yeah.
Is that enough info on the Link monster?
Yeah, I guess that's it. It's, like, Bloom Harmorous is a good card. It's just she is not what they needed. She's really not what
the
they
card
needed.
that they got, but not the card they needed.
Yeah, they needed a searcher. That's honestly what What they needed. They needed a searcher. The closest thing they have to a searcher is Bloom Prima, and she has to be destroyed by card effect or battle to work. All right. Which one do you want to do first? Which one?
Of yours or of mine?
Of yours.
How about we talk about my favorite archetype, Aromages?
All right. So
Let's talk about Jasmine.
Okay. Let me just. Because I have. Where is she? There she is. Okay. So Aroma Seraphy Jasmine. Link to. Link arrows. Bada. Southwest, southeast. 1800. She requires 2 plant monsters. If your life points are higher than your opponent's discard and any plant monster it points to cannot be destroyed by battle, you contribute 1 monster this card points to, special summon 1 plant monster from your deck in defense position. You can only use the effect of Aroma Seraphy Jasmine once per turn. Once per turn, if you gain a life points, add 1 plant monster from your deck to your hand. I'm gonna be frank, I'm...
Easy.
Huh?
Easy. A tier.
I was actually gonna say the same thing. I was like... Maybe if she was a little hard, if she was actually had like 20, like even remotely had more attack points, I would even argue that she would be S tier. Like she's really good in aromas, because aroma. Okay. Yeah, you go.
So, I'm the resident aroma player here. Jasmine is pretty much your play starter and pretty much the start and end of all your boards. If you cannot make her first turn, you're pretty much fucked. Okay, here's the fun thing that they carried over, because here's the aromas all have like an extra deck version of their main deck version. Like Jasmine's original effect, the main deck version is to draw a card when you gain life points and have an additional normal summon, which is a hard once per turn.
Yeah.
This version has an upgraded form of that, where
which is basically you get to add any card, then you can just tribute any monster this card points to just summon any plant monster
from your deck.
From your deck, and we already know how broken that is, because that's the only reason why Bloom Harmonious is not lower than C.
The ideal thing that I love about this card overall is that the search effect is not a hard once per turn. Just like Jasmine's draw 1 effect, and you've seen the amount of crazy draws I can do with Aroma Jasmine, is you can just link this card away, and if you have another way to gain life points, which if you play Aromas, you have ways of gaining life points, and if you don't, that's just fucking sad.
Yeah, you and your 3 copies of Goblin Thief.
Yeah, unironically, Goblin Thief and Aromages is fucking legit.
I don't.
And again, the ability to tribute any monster to special summon any plant monster.
Which means you can play like something like, I don't know, brain control, or mind control.
Yeah.
Then
exactly.
I just tribute your monster. It's like, hello.
Brain control, tribute that monster, use it to special summon fucking, I don't know. Get a fucking Lone Fire Blossom out of here.
Or get that plant generator. Doesn't the plant generator do the same thing as like Aroma Seraphy? Like it adds like if it's special summon, it adds a plant monster. It adds a plant monster.
Generator Martel Delight, the boss of light. But the thing is, she's good if you want to go into rank 9 plays, because you can if you have a way to bring out Copy Plant, you can just target her and go into fuck it, go into Fishbalkin for all I care.
Fishbalkin of all things. Using Fishbalkin in aromas, that would be insane. I would pay money to see that.
Yeah, but the thing is, Martel is not really an ideal target, because for 1, she's a brick, and for 2, you can't really. You have to invest resources into getting her out, and then the search won't matter for much.
Yeah, that's true.
The thing is, she's an extender, but she's not really an enabler.
All right, that's...
And the thing is, you can do a sort of proto fucking Melodious lock with Jasmine, and the 2 Mayorons, because the Synchro Mayoron protects your monsters from being targeted. This prevents your monsters from being attacked, and the main deck Mayoron prevents you from taking battle damage. So your opponent will have to use non-targeting destruction in order to get rid of these 3 monsters if you place them correctly.
Okay.
But in general, this is just a good plant monster because its materials is literally just
2
plant
plants.
monsters, which is just summon evil thorn.
Meanwhile, with Bloom Harmonist, it's like 2 fairies, but it's like, you better not special summon any fairies. Yeah, I would, yeah, like, it's that good. Like, I can see even like other plant decks using Aroma. She's just like great extender. Like, I can even, like, you can legit make an argument for her being an S tier. Like, she's that good.
Okay, here's the thing. I don't think in her current state she's S tier. It either takes one archetype that really abuses her to make her S tier, or one card that makes her S tier, like one really good thing that she can summon from the deck.
So like what everyone said with like with Block Dragon. It's like, it's gonna take like one good card to make this thing bust, and then Emancipator showed up and busted it.
Because here's the thing, her search condition is very difficult to pull off outside of dedicated Aroma decks. Not many decks play cards that gain life points.
That's true.
That's why I would consider her S tier.
Alright, I can see where you're coming from. Alright, I can
as much as I'm biased towards her.
Alright, I can see that. This is like so sad. Your wife is better than mine. At least I got a better boss monster with Bloom Diva.
Excuse me, Mayoram is a good generic plant monster.
Oh. So, shut up. Okay. Which one should I go for next? Let's go with Boro. Let's go with Big Beefy Boy.
Boro what dragon?
That's Boroload.
Boroload.
Yes, Link 4, 3,000 attack points. Its Link arrows are East, West, Southwest, and Southeast. Requires 3+ effect monsters. Can't be targeted. It has a spell speed 4, targeting attack and defense reduction for whatever reason. Like, the part I never got about this card is like, why is this a spell speed 4? And it also non-target, non-destruction steals your monster and sends it to the graveyard. So it bypasses like so much effects.
Okay, I'm just gonna say something. Like, I watched some of the how to play guides. Like, I think they're very well edited videos. Most of them, and the only thing that I can think of whenever I see Boroload Boroload Dragon is when a guy summoned it in the replay, and when he activated the monster steal effect, he just plays the Mr. Steal Your Girl. I can't. It's Mr. Steal Your Girl Dragon.
I can't even. That's pretty much Boroload's role in like the early Link era was, because that was like the only way people had to out Arya. It's like, well, I got Boro at least.
So
it's either gonna be A or S.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think it's A tier. The thing is, he's not really a combo extender, and
he's a boss monster. I think he's a Link 4, so I think like Link 4 should be like the boss monsters, like the guys you're supposed to end on. I think in that way it kind of might barely push him over edge, because out of the three Boros, minus Boroload and now Boro Code, protection from targeting is probably like the best one, because so much stuff targets now that once you, like, if you have something that can't be targeted, it's like, what the fuck are you supposed to do? Like, what are you gonna do?
Oop.
Yeah. That's the reason why people have such a hard time beating the lock. Not because of Elegy, because of Arya just giving all your monsters targeting protection. And since so much stuff targets, it just makes it so hard for them to deal with. And Boral Load is the same way.
Yeah.
I think...
So, I don't think anything lower than A tier is justified.
So it just comes down to, does the targeting protection push it just enough into S tier?
I
Because
don't think
because
so.
because the spell speed 4 attack and defense reduction is fine. I still don't understand why the hell it's spell speed 4 of all things, and the just random monster steal to just do whatever you want with the monster is actually pretty funny.
Here's the reason why I'm considering it A tier instead of S tier, because the monster steal effect happens during the battle phase, meaning you can't use the monster for your own plays, and you can only continue your plays after main phase 2.
Yeah, but with some decks, like if you don't have a way to continue your combos, that may actually help.
Like, I would. Here's what I would have done if I wanted it to be S tier. Just make the monster steal effect, but make you unable to use it as extra deck material. You can still tribute it for whatever you want.
Okay.
But make it so you can't use it to continue your plays, or you have to play some very suboptimal cards like tribute summons or costs for your own cards.
I mean, like, you still do that. Like, okay, I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it on very top of A, borderline S. How about that? Like.
Okay, very low S.
Okay, very low S. I think that, like I said, I think that targeting protection just pushes it just barely over into S. Okay, so you're next. Which one? Which one? Which one do you want to do?
Since we talked about so much good, how about we talk about something less good? How about we talk about Pincer?
Oh, okay. Let me just find him. Okay.
By the way,
I just realized what his TCG name is gonna be. Cosmic Slicer Zero. It's so cheesy. Okay. Light Reptile, Link 3 monster. Link arrows are north, southwest, and southeast. 2600 attack, 2+ reptile monsters. Monster your opponent controls with A counters are changed to defense position. Also, neither player can activate their effects. You can only use each of the following effects of Cosmic Slicer once per turn. I'm not saying the whole name. If this card is Link Summon, you can add one card from your deck to your hand that has an effect that places A counters. You can remove 2 A counters from anywhere on the field immediately after this effect resolves. Normal summon 1 reptile monster. I honestly think. If I had to be a betting man, if I had to be a betting man, I'd probably put it in a C or D.
Put it slightly above the Melodious Link, just because I think this card is better than the Melodious Link, but I wouldn't put it in higher than C tier.
Okay, so let's talk about the cons. This thing, all the good. Okay. Let's get the big thing out of the way. The search for any card that places A counters. All the good cards in Aliens, all the good spell ones, they don't fall under that clause. They don't.
Yeah.
Except for, like, Code A.
Mysterious Triangle, Brainwashing Beam, Mass Hypnosis, All you have is Code A Ruins. That's it. And Planet Pollutant Virus.
I mean, they're both alright, but it's just...
I mean, yeah, both Planet Pollutant Virus and Code A Ancient Ruins are Alien staple cards. I'm not gonna deny that, and
but then again, it's on a level like Great Shogun, where like the cards are just completely broken.
Yeah, they don't make the archetype.
They don't make.
That's the thing. Here's the biggest problem with this card. You either need to run more copies of the alien cards that need A counters to apply their effects, making your deck less consistent because you'll you'll have less chances to draw into the cards that actually place A counters, and you'll be stuck with cards that can't apply the A counter effects.
Or you have to run like some cheesy stunny deck that involves just trying to spam Alien Kid on the field and keep him on the field.
Exactly. This card was meant to circumvent this, giving you access to any part of your arsenal that you might need at the time.
Except they half-assed it.
The wording.
They fucked up the wording. They half-assed it.
Yeah. And the problem is, it didn't even take much to change. All you need to do is say, search any card that lists A counters.
Yeah.
That's all it would have taken.
Yeah, but I was like, what they did with this guy.
Ridiculous. Huh?
That's what they did with the Shogun. Any card that lists Bushido counters. Not hard.
Shogun also searches cards that only can place Bushido counters, but the thing, here's the big difference between A counters and Bushido counters. Bushido counters are a resource. A counters aren't. A counters are meant to be placed on your opponent. They're meant to be stun. They're meant to be stun.
Yeah.
Stun effects.
Yeah, that's what I think.
The thing is, Bushido counters are less easy to disrupt because all an opponent needs to do is use a monster for extra deck material in order to make all of your setup with A counters null and void. That's why they need to be. That's why they need to be more powerful or more consistent.
I honestly think a better way to use this monster was like when this card is linked, someone place A counters on like every single monster on the field when this card is link summoned. And then as long as, or some kind of really stunning effects to go with like the stun effects of aliens, like monsters with A counters can't be used as like a summon from the extra deck. They can't be used as materials. So it's like, there's not really much you can do. I was like, I already did like a rework with the Melodies, but I don't know what you can change to fix this, but also make it balanced.
Make it a link 2.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
Aliens suck at swarming.
They suck that's basically the big problem. It's like this is a link monster that's meant to be to try and swarm a field in an archetype that's very poor at swarming. Melodious are swarmed better than aliens.
Okay, here are the only swarm options that aliens have. Rescue Rabbit, Light Serpent, and Tsuchinoko. Those are the only swarm effects that they have. Like, the only alien monster with a special summoning condition are Dog and Overlord. And they both need setup before.
It's like, hearing all that actually makes me want to push it down to D. Like, if aliens had any better sort of swarming, then I would say C, but I think the way you described it just made me convinced it to try and lower it to D. Because I think there's just too much setup for not enough. Because one of the rules for a link is how much setup you have to go into it, and how much does it benefit in terms of its effect for that setup. I just think it as a link 3, it has way too much setup for what's essentially the only thing you can really do is just search out Code A or Pollutant and hopefully special summon Kid.
Here's the only good thing about this card. Its lockdown effect is legitimately good if you pair it with Alien Kid. Like, if you
it's good, but the problem is you gotta actually get Kid on the field. That's the big problem, is you gotta get Kid on the field.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Which is why,
if you have a good hand,
if you have a good enough hand, you can get Kid. But the problem is, it's what you said earlier. You risk running more bricks and more bad card to basically lower consistency to try and get Kid on the field as fast as possible.
The only redeemable quality about this thing is just the generic reptiles.
It's a generic material. Like if it had more options to search, like you said, and it was a link too, I would actually bump it to a B. Like it still wouldn't be like.
Here's an idea. Make it kind of a link kaiju. Just let it use 2 alien monsters on your side of the field and 1 monster your opponent controls that has an A counter on it.
That would have been good. That would have been better than what we got. Like, I don't even think this card's bad. I just think they designed it in a way that aliens don't really have access to using properly. Because because everything about this card as it stands right now is swarming, and aliens can't swarm. I just think I just ultimately think the link, it being a link 3, shoots it in the foot. That's my opinion.
I still think it's better than the Melodious Link, but...
I mean, you can do more... The problem is Melodious can swarm. Like,
But it limits you from special summoning anything else but Melodious.
Yeah. But I think the main difference between Pincer and the Composer is, like, you can more easily make the Melodious. Because the Melodious at least have some swarming potential, because they have Solo, they have Cannon, they have Sonata, they have First Movement Solo, which is...
It's difference between what it does and how easy it is to make, because the Melodious is easier to make but it doesn't do that much. It doesn't
do that much unless you have like a good enough hand. But then on the other side you have Pincer, who does a lot, but it's just way too much resource intensive for the archetype it's in.
Yeah.
I would still probably, if we keep it at C, I do think it should be below the Melodious. I just think the fact that since aliens can't swarm and it's just way too much resource intensive to get like as much use as you can out of it, I think it just hinders it too much.
So I still think it's better, but again, not by much. So I'll let you decide, because I'm quite biased towards aliens, but I think you're also quite biased to Melodious. So.
Yeah, like if it was a Link 2, like here's my thing. The only, like, if it was even a Link 2, like a Shock Trooper, because guess what, despite this being a list of all the Link monsters, it doesn't have Shock Trooper. If it was a Link 2 like Shock Trooper, it would be B. Like, it would be an easy B. Like, that's why that's what I think is why I think stops it
also
below.
The fact that this thing has the balls to demand a discard for the search effect.
Are you talking about my monster or the...
Mine.
Yeah, well, both...
Cosmic Pincer.
Yeah, both actually required a discard, but...
Okay, that makes me actually want to bump it lower than yours.
Yeah, both require a discard, but you like, if you summon Soprano, you can get a Melodious, like, you can, if you discard a Melodious and you summon Soprano, you can get that Melodious back. So it's like Soprano the Link monster has some ways to recuperate some of the cost of its materials. You just have to go out of your way or have a good enough hand to hopefully want to do that.
Okay, I'm putting it lower.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it at D because it's still a good card. I just, like, ultimately it's just the fact that it's Link 3 is.
I still think it deserves. I still think it belongs in C.
I would say, yeah, like it's still a good card. I just think it being a Link 3 just screws it over.
Yeah.
Okay, so since we talked about the alien, let's talk about the Shogun, the general. So where the hell is?
A or S. A or S.
Would you like to be fucked from the front or the back? Take your pick. Where the hell? 6. There he is. Battle Shogun has 6 samurai. Earth Warrior, Link 2 monster, 1000 attack. Bottom left, bottom right. 2 warrior monsters, including a 6 samurai monster. If this card is Link Summon, you can discard 1 card. Add 1 card from your deck to your hand that has an effect that places a Bushido counter. You can only use the effect of Battle Shogun of the 6 Samurai once per turn. Each time a 6 Samurai monster is normal or special summoned to a zone this card points to, place 1 Bushido counter on this card. This card gains 100 attack for each Bushido counter on the field. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. This thing's going in S tier. I don't care. Because
cards that like if
there are plenty of cards that search.
Ever came back to 2 even. If Gateway ever was semi-limited, Six Sams would come back to meta relevance.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter what you say. Like, okay, it has the same conditions as Composer and Pincer.
Requires generic materials.
Well, somewhat generic materials. It has to have a 6 Samurai as one of the materials. But here's the thing: the card it only really searches 3 relevant cards. However, those 3 cards are pretty much considered some of the most broken spell cards in any archetype ever.
They have a pot of greed.
They have a non-once per turn continuous spell pot of greed. All you have to do is constantly summon, and you get the pot of greed effect. That's fucking busted. Plus, it makes Bushido counters on its own, so that's even more resource abuse. That's fucking broken.
I'm honestly jealous that they got a
length of 2 as good as it was. Like, I was like, oh, you discard a card, whoop-de-doo. You get a link. You discard 1, you get Shinon's Dogo or 6 Samurai Unite, or Shienjo.
Fucking
Gateway of the 6 Samurai, the fucking broken one. That's like Spellbook of Judgment levels of broken, and everyone's like, and Spellbook of Judgment is considered the single most broken spell card of all time because of how much it does. When you're able to actually search 3 spell cards that are pretty much almost on the level of Spellbook of Judgment, then yeah, that's fucking broken. And the only thing stopping 6 Samurai from becoming meta relevant right now is the fact that the broken 6 Samurai cards are still limited. So it's really like a really harsh risk or reward card.
Yeah. Not to mention that they have very little spell protection.
They have very little monster protection. That's probably like their weakest point is the fact they have outside of Magatama, they have like no protection at all.
I mean, they do have Shien.
They have Shien
and the Synchro Shien.
Yeah, that's a good combo.
That's good protection.
That's good protection and stuff like that. Like that's really all you need because the two Shiens are just so punishing. But
so, yeah, this thing is easy S tier.
Yeah, this thing's easy S tier. Hold on. If there was a tier higher than S, then I would put it on that. You know what?
I think we should reserve higher than S for cards like Alk.
You know what? Let's add a new tier.
Busted.
Busted. I mean, you can kind of make an argument for Shogun to be busted. It's just we don't know the capabilities of it because the key cards that it search are on the ban list.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're next. So you got Booba, Snick, or Tetris.
Tetris, Conductor, or Snick, right?
Or Snick. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Snick.
Okay. God. Okay. So Predator Plant, Verti Anaconda, Dark Link 2, 500. 2 effect monsters. Arrows are southwest, southeast, and its effect is Summon Dragoon. Summon Dragoon.
Dark Dragoon from the extra deck.
Summon Dragoon from the extra deck. You don't really need anything. But here's the actual effect. You can target one face-up monster on the field. It becomes dark until the end of this turn. You can pay 2,000 life points and send one Polymerization normal or quick play spell or fusion normal or quick play spell from your deck to your graveyard. This effect becomes that spell's effect when the card is activated. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn, and you can only use each effect once per turn.
So yeah, this thing is fucking busted.
I think it's only busted because of Dragoon.
No. This thing copies Super Poly from deck. This thing is
Wait.
busted.
Does it copy the
Yes.
spell C4? It copies the spell C4 part 2?
Yes, it copies everything about the effect.
That's strange. It doesn't seem to copy the restriction of Red Ice Fusion.
Yes, it does.
It does?
I think it. I mean, it doesn't apply.
I've seen a bunch of people do combos and then they have like a bunch of negates in Dragoon.
Hold on.
So like if it doesn't work, like if it doesn't work on if that restriction applies on this, then wouldn't it make more sense to have it not apply for the spell C4 of Super Poly?
Verte Anaconda ruling Super Poly. Hold on. Once per turn, so in general, blah blah blah. Activate. Can't spell some even.
Like if it can copy the only thing, but yeah, you can pay the 2,000 life, but then it can be negated. Like if you have an imperm, you can just imperm it.
Oh, okay. So it only activates the effect that to fusion summon. It doesn't carry over any of the benefits or restrictions.
Okay, so yeah, I would put it on S. If it had like the
material is to affect monsters.
if it didn't have that whole, it doesn't include the benefits or restrictions, then yeah, it would be busted. But it's like I kind of had a feeling that it doesn't do that. But yeah, I wouldn't say. But the question is it better than Shogun?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's more generic and more useful.
It's more generic.
Like, the ability. Like, okay, just putting this and a Starving Venom into your deck means you have an out to everything.
Yeah. Like you can even target a monster that can be targeted and then summon Super Poly and then summon like what's that Predaplant fusion? Chespina? Not the three-headed one that kind of looks like Trishula. Trisiophobia, I think it's called.
Hold on. And no, not the link. The fusions.
Yeah.
It's called Vertum.
Yeah.
Verutum.
Yeah, like you can easily you can target a monster, make it dark, and then use Super Poly to just seal both, and then say hello there.
So yeah.
But like most people are only using it for Dragoon. And Dragoon's like a fucking broken. It's like a fucking broken card. I don't care what anyone says. That thing needs to be banned. I'm happy it's banned in the OCG. Honestly, this thing should not have been so generic. Like it should have been Predaplant. Like that.
It should have plant monsters.
It should have been plant monsters. It should have been Predaplant monsters. It still would have been S tier if that was the case. But the fact it's so generic is crazy.
So yeah.
S tier.
Fuck this thing.
Fuck
this thing, it's too good.
This thing is too good. S tier, easily. Okay. So we got two good cards out of the way. Let's talk about a bad card now. Oh, this one hurts even more. Okay. Herald of Mirage Lights. Light Fairy, Link 2 monster. Southwest, Southeast arrows. 2 monsters with the same type and attribute except tokens. When a spell or trap is activated or effect is activated, quick effect, you can send one fairy monster from your hand to the graveyard and negate the activation if you destroy a card. If this card in your possession is sent to your graveyard by an opponent's card, you can add up to 2 ritual monsters and or ritual spells with different names from your graveyard to your hand. All it takes is one word to make this to the reason why it's called Herald Tier, and that's the word possession. The fact that this card has to be on the field to even get that recovery effect is so retarded. Like,
that minute for a recovery effect?
The recovery effect is good, but the fact is it has to be on the field and sent to the graveyard by your opponent.
I disagree. I think the recovery effect is already pretty weak sauce.
Yeah, like, the reason why Herald of Arclight is used is not because it's a good card. Because Herald of Arclight is a good card. Like, if we do, like, a Synchro tier list, that probably... Arclight would probably be S tier, maybe.
One-sided Macrocosmos with an Omni Negate and Ritual Searching.
Yeah. Yeah, but the fact is that, like, when you play against my Cyber Angels, what do I do with... I have Arclight in the graveyard. I don't use it to summon it unless I really want to. I mainly just dump it with Diviner to a search. I do the search. Like, Arclight is used mostly as, like, a Ritual Searcher because it's just a really good Ritual Searcher. Like, if it...
Good Mega Support target.
Yeah, a good Mega Support. If this had this... If it didn't have the word Possession, it would probably be on... It'd probably be in C tier. But the fact is it has...
Here's the thing. I think that was on purpose. I think did it on purpose just because they saw how good Herald... how good the regular Herald was, and they didn't want it to be abused this much. But the thing is, this one difference makes it borderline unusable.
Yeah, it's like it's like an Omnigate, but then like okay, its first effect, it's an Omnigate by sending a fairy. It's like, do you know what else does that? Herald of Perfection and Herald of Ultimateness, and those things are infinitely better, and they're not. Yeah, its effect is not one. Yeah, I believe it's actually not once per. Yeah, the Omnigate on this thing is not once per turn. But you're putting in so many resources when you can easily just do Herald of Perfection and get like a near 3,000 attack point defense monster that your opponent now has to...
This thing is ridiculously easy to run over.
Yeah. It's like if you
this
like...
It needed better stats.
It needs better stats. It needs some kind of battle protection. Like if it said it cannot be destroyed by battle, that would just bump it up to F tier. Because it'd still be pretty bad. Because instead, your opponent just, I don't know, just run over it. Like, all you need to do, is like, the moment your opponent sees this thing, it's just, alright, I just normal summon Force Raider and run it over. Now I continue my place.
Plays during main phase 2.
Yeah. Yeah, this thing's so bad. But I still think, like, if it wasn't for the possession, it still wouldn't be that good, but it'd be infinitely better than it was now. Like, it would be here. Like, but I would refuse to put it up anywhere. It would just be used as a recovery tool and nothing more.
That's bad.
It's that bad. It's so bad. Why is he making this? And not to mention, Heralds are like, what, all their effects are non-once per turn negates? No one's gonna use this. It's like, oh, and plus, it's materials. 2 monsters the same type and attribute. Okay, so you're pretty much locking this into Light Fairy, like all the other Heralds. And instead of using this, you can just use any other Herald.
Does this card need to be a fairy monster?
It says 2 monsters with the same type and attribute.
No, the discard. What do you
it's a fairy. It's the same thing. It's the same effect as Perfection and Ultimateness. It's just this thing has so little stats, and it's so obvious what you would do if you do that. Like, the reason why Herald of Perfection...
Tier. Like, in its own tier.
Yeah, its own tier. Like, the reason why Herald Perfection was, like, the first actual meta-relevant ritual was its defense stats were high enough that your opponent had to try and special summon and try and either out it with effects. Otherwise, they would have to special summon. They would have to try and out it. And any outs that they would have, your opponent would just negate it. And what Herald Ultimate is, it just stops special summons as well. So yeah, this thing's just complete trash. Okay, so we got two left.
What is the Tetris one?
The Tetris one.
I've never heard of this.
I thought you would like this one. This card is called PUZZLOMINO, the Drop-In Deleter. It's a Link 2 Spellcaster, Light Monster, 1300 attack. Its arrows are south and east. And it requires 2 monsters with different levels. If a monster is special summoned to a face-up zone, this card points to, while you control this monster, except during the damage step, you can declare a level from 1 to 8. That monster becomes that level until the end of this turn. You can target 2 monsters with the same level, 1 from each field, destroy them. You can only use the effect of PUZZLOMINO, the Drop-In Deleter, once per turn. I can only see one deck that would want to use this, and that's Scraps. Because their whole thing is just pop your own monsters. So it's just basically kind of sort of Scrap Dragon.
Okay, I would actually get pretty powerful effect if it's sent to the graveyard instead of destroying.
No, like it pops 2 monsters on the field with the same level.
Yeah, I meant like if you make it instead of destroy those 2 targets, send both targets to the graveyard. Like if it did that, if it was just non-targeting removal on any monster with the level, when you just for trading, that would be good.
I mean, it's still not bad, but I can't see this being used in anything but Scraps because, hey, you blow up your opponent's monster, you blow up your own monster. Hey, you have to plus out the Scrap monsters that blow themselves up. But then that becomes a question of why would you? Why would you go out of your way to make this thing?
When you can do it in archetype way better.
With like Wyvern. I mean, the only thing maybe is like the only thing you would like with Scrap Raptor. Like I can see this being like a side option with like in the conjunction with Scrap Raptor, because a lot of people are saying like Scrap Raptor was like the card Scraps actually needed because it searches their field spell and their field spell is like really good. I mean, I think this card's alright. I wouldn't call it.
Put it in D tier.
Yeah, I put it in D tier. Like, where? Okay, if it had the effect to send cards to the graveyard, where would you put it?
C.
A C.
C or maybe low B tier.
All right. Yeah, I do like the inspiration of it just being. He's Tetris guy. He's like, I'm playing some Tetris with your monsters, bitch.
I like the idea. Okay, this thing is pretty easy to summon.
It just requires 2 monsters with 2 different levels. Like that's not a hard thing to do.
Exactly.
And that's why I said you could put this in Scraps, because I think like all the Scrap monsters are like level 3 to 5.
Like any Xyz deck, any deck except Xyz decks will have no problem summoning this card.
So yeah.
And just trading 1 monster for another monster is actually a pretty good trade. I could see this becoming like a sort of niche removal option. If you don't
like that's why I said Scraps, because Scraps, like, you know, their whole gimmick is like blowing themselves up to plus off their effects. That's why I think.
No, I'm talking if this had the actual effect to send to the graveyard. Like, let's talk hypothetical. If this had the effect to just send to the graveyard, I can see this being actually played in meta decks, just for decks that don't like running kaijus because they don't want to make their deck too big. Having a generic extra deck out for everything.
I can see that, but yeah, I can see that. Like, I think that would be good. That'd be like a quirky like side option sort of deal. Okay, I can.
D tier, but
D tier.
yeah.
Like, okay. So you got 2 monsters left. Let's go with the DJ. IP Masquerina. Oh, this infamous bitch. I will say this about her. She's a fun card, but she's just so fucking infuriating to go against. Okay, IP Masquerina.
One thing about her.
Yeah, and she's hot. Like, look at those rollerblades. IP Dark Cyber Slink Monster. Bottom southwest southeast. 800 attack. 2 non-link monsters. During your opponent's main phase, you can, on a quick effect, immediately after this effect resolves, link summon 1 link monster using materials you control, including this card. You can only use this effect once per turn. A link monster that uses this card as material cannot be destroyed by your card effects. Like this.
Opponent's card effects.
By your opponent's card effects. Like, this whole reason why people started using Boral Sword over Boraload. Because people just started realizing you can turn Boral Sword into literally an OTK enabler. If it wasn't already an OTK enabler. Now you have an OTK enabler with, like, that can't be destroyed by card effects. Or can't be destroyed by battle.
Same.
So...
This is the world's thoughtiest VTuber.
I'm picturing...
Don't tell me you can't see this as a fucking VTuber telling people to donate to our OnlyFans.
Donate to my Yu-Gi-Oh! Themed OnlyFans. I'll dress up as Harping Conductor next week. I'll cosplay as Gargura.
This is Belle Delphine as a fucking VTuber.
Yeah, I mean, let's actually zoom up.
And
Hold on, I'm just putting her right there so I can zoom up. So I can just show you what the card looks like.
She's S tier.
Let me see, how zoom... Ah, dang it! Oh, where is she? There she is. Here she is. This is her. This is her. Oh, this is her right here. She's, actually looking at her close up, she does remind me of Belle Delphine. She's even doing like a cheeky grin thing. Oh my god. They turned Belle Delphine into a Yu-Gi-Oh card.
They turned Belle Delphine into a monster.
And then they randomly shunted her in with like S-Force and Time Thieves, stuff like that. So yeah, S tier. I would, yeah, I wouldn't put it above Anaconda, but above Shogun. The fact that she's just so good to just summon, and then you summon Boral Sword or like Avramax, or even worse, Avramax. Good God.
So yeah.
Yeah, so like there's no you know what? Someone needs to send a picture of this card to Gar. See how she reacts to it. It's like, what's this? Sees a picture. Ah. It's a thought.
I
don't even have feature.
Is this our new Kohai?
Imagine if Melody saw a Masquerade and it's like, oh, I know who I'm dressing up as Halloween.
Like, everyone just come with me to my other side so I can take care of something.
Donate. Donate for my bathwater. Oh, I needed this after like all the stress that's been going on for the last couple weeks.
Yeah, you need virtual Belle Delphine.
It makes me wonder how much off-brand it is for her. There's probably a lot.
How much what?
Off-brand. Rule 34 of Masquerade. Let's just move on.
There's a very easy way to find out.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that while I'm recording.
Oh, I will look this up and I will give you the.
If I'm
numbers.
doing that, I'm looking up Toho's related stuff. Okay, so let's just move on to the last monster. Heartbeat Conductor. Wing Beast, Link 2 monster, Southwest, Southeast, because that's like most of Link 2 monsters. 1900 attack. 2 wind monsters. This card's name becomes Harpy Lady while on the field or in the graveyard. You can only use each effect of the following effects of Harpy Conductor once per turn. If a Harpy monster you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy one spell or trap card instead. If another face-up Harpy monster you control returns to your hand except during the damage step, you can target one special summon monster your opponent controls to return to the hand. The problem is, Conductor kind of falls in the same vein as Composer, and it's like, they didn't really need this. Like, it's good to have, it just really didn't need this. Like, they specifically only made Conductor for the Harpy Lady sister support. Because their effects require their spell and trap cards to be destroyed.
This thing is not a priority to summon in Harpy decks.
It's not. That's why I say it's kind of the same thing as Composer. It's like, it's good to have, but you don't... But did they really need this? I'm like, the Synchro was like a better thing to have.
Oh yeah, Cyber Slash is like...
Cyber Slash was
10
just...
times better.
10 times better. And like... And you're really only gonna run this if you're running the Harpy Lady Sisters support cards. Like, Alluring Mirror and Feather Rest.
Who the fuck would do that?
I mean, I've seen some builds use it, and they...
Alluring Mirror Split is actually a good card.
Yeah, and even Feather Rest is, like, not bad. It's like I think it's like an archetypal Pot of Avarice? Sort of.
Yes. Yes, it's it shuffles 2 Harpy Ladies from your... 3.
I thought it was 3, yeah.
3 Harpies back, and, lets you draw a card.
So it's not bad, it's just you have to run Harpy Lady Sisters, because most of those are like, you summon Harpy Lady Sisters.
Actually, Cyber Slash fulfills the archetypal requirements for Harpy Lady Sister.
Oh. Okay, so...
You literally don't need it.
You don't need Harpy Ladies. They made this thing for Harpy Lady Sisters, and then a Synchro just comes in and steals her thunder. Like it always should have been. But back to the point, I still don't think this is what they needed. Like, I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad. I think the popping effect is actually pretty good because, like I said, some of the newer Harpy support benefits from popping their spells and trap their spell and trap needing to be popped, and then getting the effects off at the end phase. But I think the spinning effect is kind of underwhelming. Because like,
I thought it bounced.
The bounces, my bad. The bouncing effect.
Yeah, the bouncing effect is just really, really weak.
It's just underwhelming, and it's like, what, you gotta return a monster from your hand, from the field to your hand. Okay, Harpies sometimes do that, but do they do that often enough to kind of make this benefit? Like, And plus, with all the special summoning nowadays, is like, oh, you bound something. Alright, I'll just summon it again.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, it's an okay card. I would put this below...
I'd put it in D tier, honestly.
Yeah, you're right. No, yeah. Now the question is, does it go above the Tetris Man? Or does it go below Tetris Man? Because these things kind of on the two sides of the same coin. She kind of protects, and he just plays Tetris on using your monsters.
They kind of protect, they kind of pop.
Yeah.
Like, say what you will about Pincer or the Melodious. They actually do something. They do it slow. They do it inconsistent.
I would put Conductor below Palomino, because you need specifically spell and trap cards to actually use the protection effect to pop. And if you...
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Okay. Well, Palomino, you can just do it whenever you want, as long as you like, as long as it's like 2 monsters at the same level. All right, that's...
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, that's 10 monsters. I want to thank you as we end this video. I want everyone to just... I thank you, Meep, for kind of joining me on this to have some fun. We both been
No problem.
We had fun talking about Yu-Gi-Oh. Both of us are big Yu-Gi-Oh fans, and like I said, I do plan on talking more about this at a later time. It's just, as it stands right now, it's just not that time currently. I still got a while to go. If you watch this one, I did recently finish Purgatory, so I'll probably, depending on what my schedule is next week, I may actually record Purgatory. Are you actually interested in doing this again in the future?
Sure.
Like,
Definitely.
did you have fun?
Yes.
I thought. I mean, I already know what card next. I already know the first. If we do the second one, I already know what card we're gonna do next time, and that is the freaking washing machine dragon, because that thing is. Because I want to talk about the washing machine dragon next time. That is the single greatest Link monster of all time. 2 OP, please nerf busted. I'm sorry. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. Thank you to my followers, for watching through this over-hour video. Do you have any more? Do you have any?
Over an hour?
Yeah, this was over an hour. An hour 6 minutes.
Me.
Do you have any closing remarks?
Aromitas are better than Melodious.
Ah, shut up. Melodious have a better boss monster.
You take that back.
No. So this has been Dark Symphony 777 and my friend Meep, and thank you.